Hello everyone, welcome to the Lungleng Show. There is a breaking news today at the national level. The Cabinet of India has just announced that the Cabinet, which is the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, has just announced that they're going to include the enumeration of caste census in the upcoming population census of 2025 and 2026. Just to give you a brief history on how the census was done. The last census in the population census India has ever taken was in 2011, and it was supposed to be taken by 2021, but due to COVID-19 outbreak, the population census was not taken, and now that has been postponed and it's supposed to be taken by 2025, which is this year, and to be completed by March 2026. So this population census is going to be serving a huge purpose for even the delimitation process for assembly constituency as well as for the Lok Sabha constituency. So it's going to be very, very important. Now, today what the cabinet has announced is that they are going to enumerate even the caste census. So what is caste? Caste is just the different jadis that are available in India. For now, as of now, caste is just categorized into scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and other backward classes. So in fact, when you look at it, there are different types of groups of people, different castes in India. So according to the history, if you read history, you will realize that the last ever caste census taken in India was in 1931, before India gained her independence. That was done when the British was in India, when the British ruled in India. So ever since, there was never a caste census conducted in India. So since the independence of India in 1947 until today, caste census has never been taken, except for the one in 2011, which was called the socioeconomic caste census, but the data was not released because of citing some reasons like a quality issue. So that was never released. And since then, in the history of India, has never conducted a caste census, or even from 1951 to 2011, the caste enumeration, although the population was counted from 1951 to 2011, there has, in the whole process of population census, the caste census was never collected. So before 1931, it's recorded that there were 4,147 castes, different type of caste in India. It was recorded that, and after 1947, after India attained her independence, the Mandal Commission in 1979 listed India having 3,743 castes in India. So huge number of castes. There are huge number of castes in India. But for now, it is just broadly categorized as scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, other backward classes. That's it. So that's why it is a huge problem to take a caste census on this. So I would now tell you the reason why India has never taken a caste census. The reason after independence India did not take caste census was because India believed in casteless society. India wanted to achieve a casteless society. That's why India intentionally stopped taking caste census after 1931. So that's the reason why there has never been caste census. But now caste census has come into the picture. The Congress party in alliance with other like-minded parties like the Samajwadi Party, the RJD, the JDU, the Bengal Party, and the parties in the south, with India Alliance combined and started demanding that there should be caste census taken after BJP government came into power. But the BJP was so reluctant that we will not take caste census, and BJP never brought up this issue, and the Congress party and its alliances will always raise this issue that there should be caste census. Now let me tell you why a lot of people push for caste census. It's very important because we need to know why party like the India Alliance, like Congress, RJD, JDU, and all of this Congress Alliance push for caste census, and knowing the fact that the Congress itself had never taken any caste census in the past. So I would tell you the reason. So there are two reasons why caste census was necessitated as per the proponents of caste census. One reason is for social social justice, and it is for policy making purpose. So Rahul Gandhi will always say, Jitna abadi, utna haq, meaning your rights and representation in the government should be proportional, should be proportionate to your population share. For example, like I'll just give you an example. Let's just assume that Nagas are just 1% in India. For example, in the all over, it's not true, but just an example. Nagas are 1% population in India. That means any sort of reservation and the rights given to Nagas and educational reservation in employment and education, 1% of the seats will be reserved for Nagas. So in order to proportionately meet their needs, educational needs, employment needs, and also there should be 1% reservation. So the idea, the proposal given by Rahul Gandhi is that, Jitna abadi, utna haq, meaning the rights of the people and the representation of the people should be proportionate to their population share that they have in the country. So that's one of the whole reason the Congress and its alliance wants to always pressure the government to initiate the caste enumeration in the census. Finally, like I said, the breaking news today about just 2 hours ago that, the cabinet minister Ashwani Vaishnav has just announced that in the upcoming the population census in 2025, they will now include the enumeration of caste census. I hope that's very clear so far. And the second reason why caste census was necessitated was, according to the Article 340 of Indian Constitution, it's mandated by the Article 340 of Indian Constitution that there should be an exercise in order to uplift the economic and social justice of people who are oppressed and people who are from the lower classes. So the government should do something about it. So reservation is one, and now in order to improve reservation, in order to improve equitable resource distribution in the country, now people have started pushing for caste census so that, by knowing the actual number of the lower caste people, and low of caste like ST, SC, OPCs, by knowing the actual number of this caste, for now just, STs are given 7 point something reservation and so on. But in order to exactly know the number of the population and to give them a fair distribution of public employment, education, reservation in employment, reservation in education, and land distribution and so on, in order to give efficient and accurate resource sharing, I think there is a need for the country to know the exact number of people, exact number of castes in their population. So there's a need for that. So it's mandated by Article 340 of our Indian Constitution as well. And also it's a form of, the reason why political parties push for caste census is because it is also a form of political mobilization. And if you know that there are the Mandal Commission had stated that 3,743 different types of castes are there in India, and Mandal Commission has this. According to BEW survey of 2021, it's say that 69% of India's population, 69% of India's population is made up of other backward classes, the scheduled tribes, scheduled caste, and all other backward classes. So I think it has become some sort of a political motivation and mobilization that if any political party could push for their benefits, then that political party will come into power and they have a better chance of ruling the country. So I think that's one of the political motivation that why they're pushing for caste census, although it has also social justice benefits and it's good for welfare policy making. I think those are the reasons why this is being pushed. And also, in fact, there was a caste survey done in Bihar in 2023. And that has actually galvanized the demands for nationwide caste census. Because the Bihar caste survey shows that at least 63% of the population in Bihar belong to all these scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, and OPC classes. So after knowing that result from Bihar survey in 2020, caste survey in 2023, there has been a push for nationwide caste census in India. So since then, with all of these reasons, I think people are now pushing for caste census, and that's exactly why the cabinet of India has decided today to include the enumeration of caste census in 2025 population census. And let's also look at why the BJP has been very, very reluctant on this caste census. First reason is it could entrench caste identities in general. Of course, it could entrench caste identities. So once once it is entrenched with caste identities, the fallout and consequences is that there will be a distinction, and that there could be caste-based politics, caste identity politics, and it could be a lot of mess that we have seen in the 1990s, where there will be number of regional political parties forming a coalition, and the government is not strong at all, and the government will not be stable at all. So that's one of the reasons people are opposing caste census, because no one wants to play caste politics at this moment, right? It's not good for national party like BJP, because if there is a caste census, and if people come to know that our caste is this much of number of population, then they will start demanding this reservation. The other caste group will start demanding this reservation. And for now, BJP is mobilizing their votes. Their base voters are just mobilizing in the name of Hindu nationalist agenda. But once this caste politics come into the picture, they will forget the message, the agenda of Hindu politics. Rather, they will start thinking for their own caste. I think that's why BJP is not favoring the idea of caste census. Because it could lead to divisive politics and social fragmentation. That's what the BJP believe. And Modi has also stated, quite a few times, that he views poverty as the primary identity, suggesting that a caste census could be a ploy to divide the Hindus. So he doesn't want to view caste as one of the factors to implement policies, but he wants to view just poverty as the reason why the government would make policy. Just poverty, not on caste basis. That's Modi's stand. And also the BJP fears that a caste census could actually disrupt their coalition with regional parties, and by reviving the caste-based politics reminiscent of the 1990s. Like I said, in the 1990s there were so much of caste politics, and the government used to be not stable. Because there used to be alliances of many smaller parties in different regions. So the government would fall, come up, and another government would come and form the government. Another political parties will form the government. So government used to be not that stable. So BJP is afraid of that, because it can destroy their dominance at this moment, because at this time 47% of the OBC people, OBC voter space, seem to have voted for the BJP in 2019. So if caste census has come into the picture, and people come to know about their caste data, then that could threaten the dominance of BJP among the Hindu voters. So that's why BJP has been very hesitant and reluctant to collect and enumerate the caste data, caste census so far. And that's one of the reasons that BJP has been, hesitant, and they're just announcing today. They just happen to agree just today, just before the population census is about to begin by the middle or by the end of this year. And also, when you look at the bigger picture, you will see that this caste census will help, the political parties like the Congress and its alliance, political parties to push for reservation even below 50%. As of now, any sort of reservation cannot cross 50%. Cannot go beyond 50%, because Supreme Court in the 1992 ruling between the Union of India versus Indira Soni in 1992, Supreme Court made a ruling that no state should ever be allowed to give reservation for any social group more than 50%, meaning 50% should be the maximum. That should be the ceiling. If any states give reservation, for example, in the state of Nagaland, if Nagaland government gives more than 50% reservation for the ENBO or tribal groups, or for the eastern or the backward tribes, the Supreme Court will just come and strike down that kind of policy, because Supreme Court would not allow more than 50%. That's the maximum set by the Supreme Court. The reason why Supreme Court ruled for 50% maximum reservation was because Supreme Court wanted to maintain Article 14 of our Indian Constitution, which is equality before law, and Article 16 of our Constitution, which is equal employment opportunity equal employment opportunity in public employment opportunity for everyone, and Supreme Court wants to maintain quality and administrative efficiency, merit and administrative efficiency in public employment. That's why Supreme Court capped at 50% cap, 50% ceiling. However, Tamil Nadu state is one of the only states that has about 16% reservation, because it has its own historical practice of reservation during the Madras presidency when the British was ruling India. So they have been practicing that, and that's why Tamil Nadu has been put under ninth schedule of our Indian Constitution, and that's why Supreme Court is currently scrutinizing that. It's under the judiciary scrutiny currently, but that has not been struck down yet by the Supreme Court. So those are the reasons, and also you will also know that in Maharashtra the Marathas demand for more than 50% reservation, but that has been also struck down by the Supreme Court, because according to the 1992 Supreme Court ruling, 50% is maximum. And even in 2006 ruling between M. Nagaraj versus the Union of India, Supreme Court made a ruling again that 50% will be the maximum ceiling for reservation in any state. So that's why this caste census is required, because Supreme Court also is of the view that if there is enough evidence, a robust data to show that the lower caste groups, the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes consist of more than 50%, then that can be considered, because that will be very logical. But so far, there is no data that the SC, ST, and OBCs are more than 50%. So if this caste census shows that ST, OBCs, and SC, if they happen to constitute after the caste census in 2025, if they happen to constitute more than 50%, then Supreme Court ruling on maximum 50% reservation can be repealed, or maybe can be revisited, can be reviewed, and Supreme Court will definitely adapt to that changes. But that's why. But no one can force the Supreme Court that the reservation should be above 60%, because there is no data available right now to show to the Supreme Court. That's why the Congress Party and other like-minded parties are pushing for this caste census enumeration in the upcoming population census of 2025. So if they do that, definitely party like Congress and its like-minded other alliance will definitely push for more reservation in proportionate to their population, because as I said, Rahul Gandhi's slogan is Jitna Abadi Utna Hak, meaning your rights and representation should be proportionate to your population share. So if just to give an example, if the OBC, ST, and all SC social groups happen to be, for example, so in a very exaggerated manner, just to give you an example, happen to be 90% of India's population, then their stand, the political party like Congress and its alliance, their stand is that they should have 90% reservation. And in fact, that threatens the upper class Hindus and the general category people. That's why BJP and its leadership has been very hesitant to implement this. But finally, today this has happened, and let's see what will be the number of caste population in India. And depending on that, Supreme Court will have to review its judgment that were made in 1992 in the Indira Soini versus Union of India case, as well as in 2006 ruling that they made between M. Nagaraj and the Union of India case. So this caste census will shed light in everything, and this can also be a factor for Congress Party and its alliance to come back to power again in the next general election, because there's going to be caste-based politics for sure, not necessarily in a negative way, but there can be more positive development for caste-based reservation. It could go beyond 50% as well. But fingers crossed so far, and let's see what happens. So to get update on all this news, please subscribe and like our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, and we will keep you updated on all this pressing and hot issue that is concerned with our national policies. Thanks so much, and have a good time, everyone.